Welcome to Intelligent Investor Insights with Joshua Barone and Robert Barone, your co-hosts and guides through the noise of today's markets. Here, we interpret the data behind the headlines, break down what's driving the economy and interest rates, and help serious investors make decisions rooted in clarity, not emotion. If you're looking for disciplined, research-driven insight to strengthen your portfolio, you're in the right place.
Well, Josh, this right here is why people look at us funny at family dinners. But I'll give it to you. There's more signal in that sauced up meat patty than folks think. McDonald's isn't rolling out the McRib when things are firing on all cylinders. No, it's a tool. Management pulls it off the shelf when foot traffic is soft, margins are thin, and they want to juice numbers without slashing the whole menu. The McRib is, let's call it, monetary policy for value menus. I like that you framed it as a real forward-looking indicator. Maybe not as rigorous as a yield curve, but hey, it's got flavor, literally.
Yeah, monetary policy for value menus. That's going on a mug. And it's not just the McRib, right? You've got the Szechuan sauce, the Shamrock Shake, these nostalgia bombs. McDonald's keeps these things in cold storage for exactly the moments when corporate is stressing over weak core sales. It's a hack born out of behavioral economics. When the consumers get hesitant, you sell them some comfort, wrap it in a bit of scarcity, make it an event. That's the move when cheap meals start to feel like a luxury item.
That's it. And just to put a little data behind the barbecue, there's some real timing here. There are analysts, Decision Next comes to mind, who've mapped McRib returns to troughs in pork prices. When commodity costs drop, McDonald's seizes the margin. They're not just winging it, they're optimizing. But the real point, I think, is this. Scarcity and manufactured hype become tools when the demand side is flatlining. When you see the McRib, you know they're not celebrating, they're plugging leaks.
The larger story, and this is where it moves from quirky to kind of bleak, is that Main Street's not doing all that hot. McDonald's own earnings in Q1 of 2025, they missed pretty much everywhere. Management didn't sugarcoat it either. Softer foot traffic, more price sensitivity, and this isn't just their thing. This is the bottom 60% of real incomes not growing, credit card balances blowing up, savings rates tanking. We're talking '08 kind of territory, Bob. When even grabbing a $5 fast food meal starts to feel like a serious budget conversation, you know something's off.
Yeah, and the resilient consumer story, it's held together by Scotch tape and hopium at this stage. You watch foot traffic by day part, breakfast falls off a cliff. Lunch margins compress. Everyone's sniffing around the app for deals. When the consumer at the low end is tired, that's your canary. It's telling you that the fallback options just aren't cutting it. Fast food is supposed to be the final fortress, but now even that's eroding. Gimmicks soothe for a minute, sure, but they don't paper over the pain for long.
Exactly. Selling comfort's easier than selling value when wallets are getting lighter. The McRib is basically a mini stimulus, right? It spikes sentiment, goes viral on social, flares up a quick burst of sales, but that's all just smoke. No economic engine hiding in the sauce. You get the bump, but it's not a fix.
It's the difference between treating a symptom and the underlying disease. And as usual, everyone's hoping the patient doesn't notice the fever's coming back.
Now, here's where it gets totally absurd, because the internet can't leave anything alone. There's this whole meme around the McRib and Bitcoin. I mean, apparently, people notice that the McRib tends to reappear right around the same time Bitcoin makes one of its Q4 jumps. And suddenly, you've got financial media riffing on the McRib Index. I saw a Decrypt article from 2023 just laying it out. Scarcity, hype, cyclic returns. But it was tongue-in-cheek, like it's a meme, not a predictive model, you know?
Josh, if the S&P started moving based on the SAW schedule, I'd have to retire from economics in shame. But you're right, the joke got more attention than it deserved. What strikes me is that even serious analysts are so desperate for clarity that they'll latch onto this stuff. It's narrative fatigue. You run out of ways to explain the world. You start searching in the soup for patterns. It's funny, but it's also a little sad. That's the environment we're in, a kind of hunger for non-traditional signals when everything else gets muddy.
Right. And I mean, you see it all over social media, a sea of joke charts lining up McRib and Bitcoin graphs. It's not helpful, but it does say something about the mood. People want something, anything, to make sense.
Not all the signals a joke, though. There's some stuff, like that Investopedia piece from December 2024, that kind of edges into maybe, just maybe territory. They broke down S&P returns on McRib days from 2010 to 2023. Now, did the S&P really move more on McRib days? Technically, yes, from 0.04% on non-McRib days to 0.1% when the rib hit the menu. But before anyone gets cute and builds a trading system, just remember, that's trivia, not a thesis. What it does prove, though, is that when fundamentals are foggy, investors turn to storylines, cultural cues, behavioral reads. Culture literally starts turning into data points.
Yeah, I'll be honest, when your best signal comes dressed up as a sandwich, that's not exactly a vote of confidence in where the real data is. But it is a legitimate signal in a way. It's telling you about corporate mood, not GDP. When companies are reaching for nostalgia for these one-off events, you know they're not feeling strong. It's a stress tell. Nothing more, nothing less.
Precisely. These offers are more than just margin grabs. They're almost a diagnostic. When the base business is strong, they don't need the circus. When it's weak, you see the parade.
I guess the takeaway here, and it's a strange one, is that sometimes the signals with the most flavor don't show up in Powell's press conference. You're never going to see the McRib in the CPI basket. But when it pops back up on menus, it's saying something about the average consumer, about the heat the core business is feeling, about corporate stress. I mean, most of the time, nostalgia is in the playbook because the old tricks are the only ones they have left.
Look, the McRib's not going to predict a recession, but it tells you where the sand's shifting beneath the surface. When comfort food becomes currency, that's your sign inflation's left a scar, debt's biting, and people are looking for something, anything, to break up the monotony. Sometimes that's all the indicator you get. And you better believe I trust real-time foot traffic more than another backward-looking payroll print.
All right, that's got to do it for today. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You can now tell your friends that sandwiches are forward indicators. Bob, as always, appreciate you tolerating my fast food tangents.
You know, I'm just here to keep your analogies in check, Josh. Good talk.
Appreciate everyone for joining us on Intelligent Investor Insights. We'll be back soon, hopefully with less barbecue sauce. Take care, Dad.
Take care, Josh. See you next time.
Thanks for joining Joshua and Robert on Intelligent Investor Insights. If today's discussion raised questions about your portfolio strategy, risk exposure, or how to navigate this late cycle environment, we invite you to connect with us. We work directly with investors who want data-driven guidance, institutional level analysis, and a partner in building durable wealth. Reach out to start the conversation and take the next step toward becoming a more informed, confident, and resilient investor. Until next time, stay rational, stay disciplined, and invest with intelligence.